Here we go. Got new gods and goddesses. Bam! Bam! It's a double, right? So look. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to ask some questions. You know me, I really don't take this YouTube thing serious. And I just really be doing my thing. But I be in conversation with my homeboy. And really, I was just pushing the line on my homeboy. And seeing what he think. And he said, let me see if I can pull this up more. Got this sitting on this computer. Alright, so I got a couple of questions for these Aboriginals. You know, to slow my thoughts down instead of moving fast and speed up. I'm slow them down and, you know, conversate about it. So, some of the questions I have is what tactics and tricks do they use to get 2 billion people into believing that they're African or of African descent? The reason for that is that they say Africa is not the original name of Africa. That's fine. Understandable. Because I know that if you take a handful of dirt, it doesn't have a name. And dirt get its name from people. So, does it matter more of what the dirt was originally called the dirt now? And as a matter of fact, does it matter more what the dirt is called than the purpose we use this dirt for? That's just my standpoint of it. And America, from the Aboriginals, and I didn't know this until the Aboriginal movement popped up, that America was originally Turtle Island. All right, that's cool. So America's Turtle Island. That worked. So when did it become America? Then I was on a conference, a live with some Aboriginals, and we was having conversations. So I was like, man, I got a lot of different points to talk to you guys about, because they say nothing happened in Africa. Everything what the Europeans did in America as his own, and I don't think that that's fair. That we should be trying to take history from everybody when all of it is not ours. So let's do this. At what point? So Africa's not Africa, but they're saying that they're Aboriginal Americans, and it's Aboriginal turtles, Aboriginal turtle island, Aboriginal anything. So I went to this. I said, what caused the worldwide amnesia in the people the Aboriginal call so-called Africans? So what I want to know is what caused the amnesia of those that's in the African continent and those that's here to think they African and forget what they was yesterday, to forget what their parents was. So you're Aboriginal, that's cool, we're not Africans, but what made them forget what their parents was? I got what my mother and father is, and I think I'm African. What caused that? This is some information that the Aboriginals will have to answer for me. All right. At what point the people worldwide lost the inability to teach their children about what their parents' history? That goes into that first question. Like worldwide, I lost the ability to teach my children about my parents. So at what point? That was like a catastrophe. Something major have to happen. It's like you know, Man in Black, how they got that thing, they be like, psh. Yeah, that's what happened. Like, what caused that in us? Now, using the Aboriginal Australian as an example, it says they are Aboriginal. It says they are Australians. It says the Aborigines provided distinct. The term Aboriginal provide a distinction between the British colonialists and the original inhabitants of Australia. So when we're looking at Aboriginal Australian, we know that they're Aboriginal to Australia. They said they're the Aboriginals. Aboriginal isn't a race, it just provides a distinction. So when you're saying you're Aboriginal, we know American is not the original term. They have a North and South America. My partner likes to say that it's all one big giant continent. They're not separate, but there's what we consider North and South America today. There's different cultures, there's different languages, there are differences. But what caused and where was America first started? I asked them that, they couldn't tell. Aboriginals. Okay, let's say it's in the South. They no, that was only a little part of Africa that was called Africa, not the whole continent. They don't even know what they are. But it's crazy when it comes to First Nation or claim any other racial group. It says south of the border, but I have heard claims that they are the same. So what I mean by that is that I done heard Aboriginals say fuck the natives, right? They're not native, fuck natives, right? So let's go into the term Aboriginal. Wrote down a definition. Now, my homeboy like to say, you using the new terms. You got to go to the old terms, the ancient terms. Okay. But I was like, well, we're speaking in English. What language should I go in if it's not English? I don't know. Being the first or earliest, Aboriginal is being the first or earliest known to its presence in a region. Its kind of presence in a region. Of its kind, presence in a region. All right, of its kind can be a tree. It could be animals. So when you talk about Aboriginal, in that particular definition, one, from this place where I got this definition, being the first of its kind. Aboriginal don't necessarily mean people. But when we go to the second definition, it says of or related to the people who have been in a region from the earliest time. So the earliest time. Now, so I'm saying that the earliest time of record of before we can. So I told the homie, well, Chinese are Aboriginal to China. He said no, not melanated people could be Aboriginal. So he's saying that the Russians aren't Aboriginal to Russia, Chinese aren't Aboriginal to China, Britons are Aboriginal to Britain. Okay. Of or relating to Aborigines, Aborigine language, Aborigine tribe, customs, art. What are your languages? And matter of fact, I go into that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go into that in another question or point that I wrote. So let's go into Aborigine. And a member of the Aboriginal people to inhabit an area, especially, now this was out of Webster's, especially as contrast with an invading, colonizing people. So when we're talking about people in particular, it's before a colonizing people. So your Aborigine, that's cool, be a colonizing people. Now, Aborigine to America doesn't mean that you don't have connection to Africa. It doesn't mean that you was born and birthed up off the ground here. So saying that you're Aborigine to America is not cutting your ties and severing your ties to Africa. So I could agree that we're Aborigine to America. I could agree. But I cannot agree that we don't have ties to Africa or we not of African descent. Now let's go to the synonyms. Autochthon. 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 I don't know how to pronounce that word. Autochthon, Aboriginal, indigene, and native. So when you say you're Aboriginal, but then you say fuck the natives, you're basically saying fuck yourself because the synonym of Aboriginal is native. That is crazy. But let's continue. There are some blacks that claim, I went into that, but they don't claim First Nations. They're not claiming Canada, I guess because they don't have no pyramids in Canada and no great buildings in Canada. But as you come further north, all the greatness in the buildings just leave. It says, how know you Aboriginal to Turtle Island, now North America, but can't tell me your original customs, cultures, or language? Now, when we start talking about custom cultures and language, now what a lot of them like to do is say, how you say you African, but what's your language? What's your tribe? Now, to that I answered this. They asked me what's my original language, why I don't speak an African language. I'm 8,000. What was it? 8,000 something? It's over 8,000. I had wrote it down in my notes. But I am over 8,000 miles away from Africa. We believe that the slave trade did happen. We believe that slavery did happen. The Aboriginals don't believe that slavery happened. We lost our culture, our customs, and our language, a lot of our culture, a lot of our customs and language, in slavery. That's where we lost it. Lost ours the same. How can you use you can't compare you to us, the Africans in America. You can't compare us. A better comparison to the Aborigine of America is the Aborigines of Africa. And they're Aborigines of Africa. So the Aborigines of Africa was also enslaved in Africa, but still have their language, their culture, their customs. So they're on their native land. They still have their native culture, their native language, their native customs. But even though in some countries their main language is French, their main language for the country is English. You're here on your Aboriginal land. Why your state, your main language isn't your Aboriginal language? Why you not even just some of your Aboriginal language? You can't say it's the same as me. I'm not on my native land, right? You on your native land, right? Why you not speaking none of your native shit? Let's keep it moving. Aboriginals claim slavery never happened. It says, if this is true, did they give up their custom, cultures, and language for that of the Europeans? If slavery never happened, that means that you willingly gave up your custom, your culture, and your language for what the Europeans' custom, culture, and languages. Willingly gave it up. That's without a fight. All right. It says they often say, why you don't speak your African language? Well, African is 8,766 miles away. That's where I wrote it at. It says a more suitable comparison would be the Africans in their homeland and the Aborigines in their homeland. Talk about people in their homeland, and I went through that. 54 countries in Africa with 15,000 to 2,000 languages. Now English, French, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, and German are spoken in Africa. Yes, they are spoken in addition to the Aborigine languages of Africa. Damn, when we start comparing and contrasting to you on your land and the Africans, bam, on their land, you getting fucked up, make you look like a bitch boy. You know what I'm talking about? Make you look like they just came over here with some. They didn't even come over here. Look, they came over here. This y'all turn. Paper. They came over this motherfucker with paper. They didn't come over with this motherfucker with guns. They came over here with paper and pen. That's why they say the pen is more mighty than the sword. It's like, we about to kill these motherfuckers. Paper genocide. The only people to be paper genocide on the face of the planet. Because the Tasmanian was wiped off the earth. But people still know about the Tasmanian. You still here on the earth. And you forgot all your shit. Just saying. Alright. Approximately 150 native North American languages spoken in the United States today by more than 350,000 people out of 350 total spoken languages in the country. So it's saying there's 350 total languages in the United States. We talking about, well, in North America, right? 150 of them is native, half. Only 350,000 people speak their native languages. It's 14 million Africans in America here. Feel me? And we minusing out of that 14 million. So we out of that 14 million, we minusing the Aborigine. The Africans are here, homie. So, and another thing that these Aborigines like to do is confuse African history in America with Aborigine history in America, because there's no real distinction of the African history in America and the Aborigine history in America. No real distinction of the people. What they're trying to say is, no, all of us Aborigine. We're not from Africa. We're not from there. So they want to try to sever the ties from Africa. And to me, that's just some European shit. And this cat by the name of Dan Calloway, right? I'm a name drop. I've been looking for him like online, been looking at this shit. I have never seen him in a group of people. I have never seen him in public. Like when you would go to Sinetta, like Sinetta TV, you'll see Sarasu Seti amongst the people on 125th. You know what I mean? You'll see the Hebrew Israelites out there on 125th in the streets doing their shit. I have never seen Dan Calloway in a public setting. Like Originals that hold their custom cultures and languages. It says close to their heart. It says instead they have Christian names and they think they're African American, black, or Negro. So these Aboriginals are some of them, and one of my homeboys, you go look him up, go add him Instagram. I'm gonna shout him out. Mr. Doc, for his respect. He thought he was African at one point in time. I have never thought I was Indian. I always knew I was African. They thought they was Indian. So thought he was African. Why you thought you was African at one point in time? Now you say you're Indian. And he say he know he not African because his grandparents are I think his grandmother birth certificate say mulatto. And when I read the definition of mulatto to him, he said, no, that's basically stating that you're Aborigine. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, so I'm gonna leave that alone. Now I went into Aboriginal and the definition of Aboriginals and the inhabitants and all that and indigenous. I went into that. Now, saying we are not African, we are Aboriginal, still leaves a void in our historical past. One, what language do they speak? What language do Aboriginals speak? And how many different groups of black Aboriginals are there, not counting the natives, what we consider to be the natives, or Native Americans, or those that are Mongoloid descent, that come from the Asian descent. Because they are still speaking their native shit. They still own their native custom. They still out there. Oh, yeah. They still doing that shit. You niggas, y'all just like any other nigga. You know what I mean? Two, do or did they have a religion or spiritual system? My homeboy say no religion is for white folks. So what is your spiritual system? Now when we go down south, or when we go to voodoo, he said voodoo, my homeboy, told me he don't want to use Wikipedia, but he went to Wikipedia and said voodoo is aboriginal to the United States. Or origins is in America. It says it's originated in America, but its foundation is in West Africa. I see he didn't really truly understand that. And this is the thing about them Aboriginals too. Most of them have to be Christians, because you know how Christians warp whole nature and earth and how shit really works. They warp it, they mind, just twist shit around. The Aboriginals do the same thing. So he said, no, the Africans use voodoo as their religion. Voodoo was a breakup and a mixture and a gumbo of African spiritualities and beliefs mixed in with Catholicism, because they wasn't able to practice their original language, cultures and beliefs that they was forced upon them with the French in order to do other shit. The French, and also with the French, when you start looking at French colonialism, they didn't really breed in like the Spaniards. The Spaniards bred in the population for their colonialism. That didn't happen with the French, so they was able to hold more of their customs and cultures. All right, let's continue. How do we distinguish Aboriginal artifacts from Native artifacts? Like, how do you point and draw the line? You can't just say all of it is. So, like my homeboy say, everything started in in America. Nothing started in Africa. So I say, all right, what about metallurgy? See, well, he don't understand the significance of metallurgy. Metallurgy, feel me? This metallurgy. This spring, metallurgy. Here we go. This right, metallurgy. When we start getting into radios, metallurgy. You know what I mean? He don't understand the significance and the role that metallurgy play in the advancement, or what we consider to be advancement of human society today. So when I start bringing things like that up, oh, cuz, you sound stupid. You all over the place. You all over the place. I'm asking about particular things and times in society where this thing happened. All right, let's go. What are Aboriginal values? So what are the values? I mean, if we have these values are important in society, and the culture ain't shit. The Aboriginal culture is some bullshit, because the Aboriginal really, everybody can be Aboriginal. That's a term that's what's the word? It's not like it's talking about a particular people. So everybody can fucking Aboriginal. Everybody are Aboriginal. Colonialists, when they're colonialists, they're now left their Aboriginal states and went into somewhere else, like Ireland. Ireland came from the leprechaun, came from Africans. Okay, sound fucking cool, but fuck that. Europeans are Ireland, white folks are Aboriginal to Ireland. You know what I mean? Stop all that other shit. The leprechaun came from, okay, cool, and the traditions carried on and it mutated. That's understandable. How things mutated and where it came from. I can understand that, but to say that those people aren't Aboriginal to that land is asinine. I'm not into that. You know what I mean? So their values had to be some bullshit for them not to hold to their values and to be picking up African culture and Native American culture, European culture. They taking everybody's shit to say that the Nile River is really the Mississippi River. You know what I mean? Egypt was in America, was in Egypt. Lions are indigenous to America, not Africa. 5. What are some examples of the social institutions? So when we start talking about Aboriginals, then you got to be able to tell me some of these social institutions, because we got to understand, we talking about 1462. When we start talking about the colonialists coming to this land, we are talking about AD. We're talking about 1,000 years after. So if you were able to tell me, when we're able to go into the Punic Wars, and we're able to talk about the Punic Wars and BC and Egypt, you mean to tell me that paper genocide, that these Europeans had done something that the American, European, white folks, the Spaniards, French, and the British had done something no other people on the face of the planet, no other empire was able to do? That's to totally mind fuck a whole people in a generation to thinking that they're one thing and they're another land. That you're not this. That it also wipe out whole total history of a people. That would make them the greatest people on the face of the fucking planet in history. In order to do that, basically without bloodshed, they came over here with some STDs, spread some plagues. They lived, y'all died, and then they used a pen to genocide you. That makes them the greatest. But saying that y'all didn't have iron weapons, that y'all was using nothing but sticks and fucking rocks tied to sticks, and the homeboy really think that the tomahawk, I showed him an African axe, right? Cuz that's the tomahawk, cuz tomahawk is from here first. Now he not African, but he is a Crip. You know what I mean? Because African ain't the real term, but Crip ain't the real term to Aborigine, but he hugged to that. And Compton ain't the real name of Compton. It came from Dixon Compton. What's his name? Something Dixon Compton. Damn, I forgot that motherfucking real name. But in 1888, when Compton was founded, you feel me? Was it May 11, 1888, when Compton was founded? It became a city. When he came with 30 families and they settled in Compton, and William Dixon Compton. You feel me? And so it was Comptonville first. But we hugged to that European name. I showed proof that that's a European name. But fuck that, cuz. Still Compton, cuz. We hug. But Africa's named after white man. You holding that slave shit. I just can't understand these fucking Africans. You know, I can't understand that. That shit is asinine. These motherfuckers said Angola is in India and not Africa. But then I pulled up to 2 white men, in which one of them was an abolitionist. They say it was spitting for a dog, whatever. But what was your family structures like? Have you noticed the Aborigines never say anything about their family structures? They actually started using that of the Native Americans, what the Native Americans still do. Government. What was your government like? So to say that you didn't have a government and you're using things like Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you're using things like Malcolm X saying that we are Aborigine, but in that same speech he said we're Africans, but you want to cut that part out and only use what fits your argument. Military. Whoa. I asked my homeboy about military, and he liked to be like talking about, but all to me came from Mestizo was mixed, and when you start talking about Meso, that's middle, Mesoamerica, that's different. Why they call it Mesoamerica? Mainly because most of the black folks there, they try to do some shit with the culture. There's that, they trying to separate it. I start coming to all that shit don't make sense to me. All right. So out of the population, culture, material, products, social organization, and social institutions. You know what I mean? Start talking about their social institutions, and I was going to write more into that. But those are just a couple of questions that if these motherfuckers could address, I would like for them to address. You know what I mean? And I threw some bait out there before. I like to throw bait out there. I was going to do a whole bunch of videos that didn't make no damn sense. You know what I mean? But I said it don't make no sense for me to do that, because when I was just going to do a whole lot of just idiotic, stupid-ass videos saying shit that was just totally way off, because that's how they sound to me. And I was going to do the same thing, and mainly disrespecting them, but just sounding real stupid, but saying some disrespectful shit. But I said, man, you know what? Don't let me go that direction, because that don't make sense. But, so that was just a couple of things that I had that I wanted to put out there. I'm gonna get back on to reading some of these books that I'm doing. I'm at work one time and feel me on the clock doing videos, not understanding this Aboriginal shit. And my homeboy put up a lot of videos, so I had to be able to do this and put this out there to see if y'all can answer those questions for me. The amnesia part really got me, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna go ahead and cut this right here, and we gonna keep this power to the people. And I'm gonna do my African culture with my Ogoon beans, and I'm gonna push that Ogoon on you. You feel me? Because I'm ready for this war shit and a whole nother spiritual. Okay, that's not me. That's them. And I hate that we on production. That we on the same channel of production. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. I'm gonna leave it at that. But answer those questions. Power to the people. Let's continue to build. All right.